I'm here today with Jay of Die Will Be Done to talk about Pillar of Fire. The record is out right now, came out September 13th. Thank you very much for taking the time. How's life treating you?
Very well, no complaints. I woke up, so I'm doing great.
That's how I look at life these days. As long as I wake up and I don't have any pain or I'm in no apparent suffering, I feel like the day is already a good day.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about this record, and I'm going to need you to help me out here because I discovered the band through listening to this album, and I also, when I was preparing our chat, I realized you guys have been on a little bit of a hiatus over 15 years with no new material. Uh, what made now be the right time for a new record?
So a lot of different factors. We actually had put out a single in 2020, right at the beginning, or the early stages of the pandemic. So we had put out a song in 2020 and a single at the beginning of 2017, but we hadn't put out any studio recordings. The last EP came out in 2012. So this is the first full length in 15 years, and we've had a lot of lineup changes. We had some health concerns. And right around the time when we were working on a follow-up to our Temple EP, um, our drummer, Jay Waterman, had suffered cardiac arrest and incidentally survived, and we're grateful for that. And so it kind of slowed some things down, and that was already after we had scrapped a record that was written. We had had a lineup change and a record completed, vocals, everything was done. But we lost our lead guitar player and our bass player, and the three of us, Kurt, myself, and Waterman, just didn't feel it was a representation of who we were at that time any longer. So we started writing a new album. And that's when we were tracking. That one is when our drummer had suffered cardiac at the end of 2015. So subsequently, we took some time. It protracted everything. We did a few tours with our friend Jay Fitz from Overcast on drums. But we really laid low. And we had a couple of lead guitar players kind of come and go at that point in time. So once we kind of landed on everything and we had a bulk of material, it was actually the beginning of 2020. We were just kind of finalizing some things, and then the world kind of changed. So we took that time to really hone what we had, do a lot of self-reflection, and I'm glad because it really, I feel like it really paid off that we put that extra time and attention into it. And the timing was just right for us. Everything just lined up where myself and Waterman, we both had lost our moms. We've both been through being married and divorced, but then we have all this positive stuff like Kurt's got a new wife. He's got a new baby here. C Rob, our guitar player, he's freshly married for, a little bit now. So things more positive, and we just had some really good momentum going. So it just felt like the time was right. Everybody's life felt a little bit more imbalanced than it was for a while there.
Are you guys planning on revisiting any of that old material? Because it feels like it must feel a little bit bittersweet because I mean to had it worked on all of those songs, have them ready, and then to kind of put them aside. Is there a plan on going back and maybe reworking some of them?
Probably not. If we ever did, I'm not sure. It's one of those things where it was kind of something that we decided to just kind of like leave behind, a piece of us, and yeah, it just didn't feel right. And whereas these songs and this material feels more like who we are and what it is we're doing. And so I think that we went through there was an attachment to those songs for sure at one point in time, but then you get to a point where it's not serving us and it didn't bring us the joy, and that's why we make music. It's something that for us it represents where we're at, collectively, individually, and it would feel disingenuous to put something out that we didn't connect with or resonate with, just for the sake of putting it out.
Like you mentioned, in 15 years, a lot of things has happened to the band members, I should say. Uh, Lineup changes, life changes. When you look at the music business, that also has changed quite a bit in these 15 years. Do you feel like you're in the right place now to maybe being more mature, be able to navigate that world a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, I think every year hopefully what we're all doing personally is trying to grow individually and then collectively. And you're right, the landscape has changed exponentially. I remember, starting the label to put out the Temple EP in 2012, and having to learn all these different things to work with the distribution company that we had, getting actual CDs in stores around the world, and a completely different world now where it's, we're still independent. That's the way we've always been. And now it's more of a digital landscape. And so having to, navigate those waters and really, you know, learn the platforms and the algorithms of Spotify, Apple Music, and how people nowadays are taking in their music is much more different. And so it now there's like a reliance now on like all these other areas that weren't necessarily prevalent, 12 to 15 years ago. Now you've got people making content for social media so that they're staying visible in people's eyes, so people know what they have, and they're spending less time creating the art that they've done it for. And so, which is fine. That's an individual choice, but it's just really changed, is my point.
Yeah, a lot has changed, and that is for sure. Now, when you look at the way you guys approached this record, was the process as smooth as you would have hoped for?
I mean, a little column A, a little column B. I think we had a couple of hiccups, when we had, a lineup change, right when we felt like, all right, cool, this is the album. And then our lead guitar player at the time exited the band all amicably. And our like it was our second or actually third lead guitar player actually came back to the band, who was in the band back in 2014, rejoined us. We had some talks. We started doing some more writing and then working on some stuff. So, I mean, it still had those hiccups because life was just happening for all of us in our personal lives. And then just like it made sense for us to just like pump the brakes and not try and rush anything, because for us, it was definitely about the art and the music that was coming out.
You mentioned about being an independent artist. Is that something that is perhaps a little bit easier to achieve, considering the modern day of way music is consumed?
Sure, it absolutely makes it much easier with the advent of the internet and these, different platforms where artists can put music out. That's not necessarily to say that everyone should be putting out music, but I think there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that over time, when someone takes time to hone their craft, although some people are just savants, they get it right out of the gate, which is awesome. But I just know that if I were 20 and I put out what I put out when I was 20 today, oof, I'd be so embarrassed. Uh, but that's
At least you
okay.
have self-awareness, which a lot of people don't have.
Right. So, but again, it's everybody's on a different journey, and I love and respect that. But it does definitely make it easier to navigate those waters, But even in the past, even 15 years ago, we turned down recording contracts because for us, it's important for our band to be our band and have the last say and dictate what we do. And it is a very tight knit community, just like anywhere else. So if it's who you know and it's your networking, and we've been very fortunate that we've got some really good friends that took us under their wing and have given us great opportunities. But at the end of the day, for us, it's always been about our independence.
The sound on the album is really cool. First of all, I love the grooviness that the record has. I love the bite, the chugginess of the album. And that got me thinking right from the get-go, considering you guys are an independent artist, who did you work with on the production side? Because the production of the album is pretty solid.
Thank you. So that's the production is all handled by our rhythm guitar player Kurt Fraunfelter, who actually engineered our Temple EP. Kurt's actually educated. He actually has a degree in audio engineering, and over the past 12 years has finally been putting it to use with the band. Now, for the Temple EP, we had producer Zeus actually mix the recording, and this time around for the mix, it was our lead guitar player Chris Robinson and Kurt Fraunfelter mixing our album. They have the ears, they have the know-how, and it just made sense. Who better else to really try and shape your vision and what you want people to hear in that takeaway? And again, these guys are very talented. They've been doing this, they've definitely hit the benchmark of those 10,000 hours to perfect it. Um, and for us, we got a third party ear for the mastering. So our good friend George Richter over at Adestis Audio, he did all the mastering for the album, and we're really proud of how it come out. And the accolades have been great on just the production of it, and it's all thanks to Kurt Fraunfelter especially and Chris Robinson.
Yeah, I really liked it. That was the biggest surprise for me listening to the record because I was expecting perhaps to be a little bit more muddy, a little bit more dense, but it's not. Great production behind the album. Now, when it came to the sound, did you guys have a vision of what you wanted the sound on this record to be? Do you want it to connect with the past of the band, or do you want it to maybe showcase a little bit of where the band can go towards the future?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. And I think for us, collectively, we sometimes we'll have an idea for like a song, or like we're just jamming in the rehearsal space and an idea will come out and we just kind of like see where that takes us. We're not ever that band to just nowadays is we have, and it's fine, it's whatever your choice is, but some people have a specific sound or style or whatever they're going for in mind, and so they write to that. And for us, we don't want to limit ourselves. We want to be able to just see what happens through the natural chemistry of all the members of the band. And so we kind of just let it happen. That's not to say that we don't have ideas for parts or things that where we could take it. Of course we do. I think every artist does. Um, but for this album, this one was, again, this is all because of Kurt, in my opinion. You know, it was just we had lost our lead guitar player after, you know, Temple in Ancient of Days, and that was heavily written by our other lead guitar player. So with him exiting the band, it was a chance for Kurt to really shine and showcase a lot of his skill sets and his thrashiness, his groove, you know, and that came out. And I think it was wonderful. And then our bass player at the time was also, he helped co-write some of the songs too, Chris Cody, who's now not with the band, but our original bass player's back. Revolving door. So it was a,
Sounds like you guys have gone through a lot when it comes to the lineup.
yeah, I'm the only original member. And Kurt's been with me the longest. Kurt's been with me since 2006. And it's been great. Waterman, our drummer, he's been with us since 2009. And then, like I said, Chris Robinson came back to the band from 2014. And then Eric Tavares, our original bass player, came back since he left the band in 2010. So,
Are you hoping for some stability now?
but I think the only constant in life is change. So I think it used to frustrate me when I was younger, and now I think it's just a part of life. I think it actually has helped us. It's helped us kind of as a band, as artists, it really works because we're still friends with everybody that's ever been in the band. It just sometimes it's I get it. Sometimes touring's too much for somebody. Sometimes it's a financial thing. You know, there's no money in metal. I mean, it's we're not making pop metal. It's fine if somebody chooses to, but we're not. We're making music that's for us. And so it's you have two paths you can take. You can chase the stardom or the fame if you want to, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you can embrace the creativity and the art, and there's no guarantees in that. And so I totally understand that sometimes it doesn't work out for other people, and like, you know, they're burnt out, I can't tour, or there's no money in this, I need to work my regular 9 to 5, because we've always had full-time jobs and toured full-time, and it's not the easiest thing when you're trying to balance all of life. So I totally respect and understand that it can't happen, but I guess to your point, I don't know what stability is. It's just change is the constant thing that happens in life, and we have to embrace it.
I think you're just so used to living in chaos that that becomes your stability.
Maybe. I mean, I think that's the beauty of life. And I think a lot of Eastern philosophy is making order out of chaos. And it's really what we do with the notes and the music because it's all around us. So all it is taking sound and organizing it and making a song. And I think that's life. You know, when you're presented with an obstacle, you can just stop, or for us it's you keep going, and you get that mind unlocked and you think differently, and you have to circumvent all of these different obstacles, and it creates tension, it creates originality, and that is art. That is, for us, that's expression. Otherwise you'd have nothing to talk about.
That is true. That is true. And through all of this, when I was listening to the record, I felt like the spinal cord of the album is definitely the guitar sound. Is that your starting point when it comes to making new music, having those guitars be what guides and what influences everything else?
I think it was a cognizant decision this time around to really have it guitar driven. And I think especially with Kurt handling the production, it just made sense. Metal is typically like a very guitar driven and drum driven type of genre, it seems. And it just really made sense this time around to have it be really guitar driven. And I, I, I think that previous recordings, it hasn't stood out as much as it does now, and we're really, really happy with the way Kurt handled it.
How has the reception been so far? I mean, the album has been out almost a month. I'm going to say it's nearly a month. So, how's the reception been so far from everybody?
Really, I mean, overwhelmingly positive. We didn't anticipate anything. We didn't even have any expectations. We just knew that it was time to release it. We loved it, and whatever anyone thinks, we respect. It's fine. But the accolades have been great. We were the number one most played album on metal radio in North America last week, and we're the most number one added metal to metal radio album the previous when it came out. And so like those are like their numbers, but we're celebrating that because it's a huge thing since we haven't released music in so long and people still care or the music's resonating with people, and that's awesome. The reviews have been great. Some people saying it's our best effort yet, which is awesome. I'll take that. I feel like it's our best yet. And yeah, fans, family, complete strangers, people who are just discovering us through this music now for the first time. It's awesome because now we re-released our entire back catalog earlier this year. We worked with George to remaster everything, and it was time to put it out. So we secured a new distribution deal through KMG Distribution. So they're handling the worldwide distro. So we worked with them getting the back catalog out. And then subsequently, we started releasing singles for the new album, and then here we are. And I feel like it's been really nice, and it's felt really really good. And just seeing the fruits of all the labor over the years has really been it's been rewarding.
Well, what about shows? Because you mentioned touring before, so now the album is out. I'm sure you guys are itching to play some shows. What do you guys have in store?
Yeah, so we've got a regional area Halloween show that we got asked to do. So we're going to be doing that, a big fun event that's in Revere, Mass. That's going to be October 26th. But we actually have a huge festival that we planned and that we curated. We're calling it Friendsgiving Fest, and we have all our friends on there, and it's going to be our album release party. I've got the newly reunited Beyond the Embrace. They used to be on Metal Blade Records. They haven't played a show in 16 years, and they're back. So I've got them on there. I've got Death Ray Vision, which has Mike from Killswitch Engage, very dear friend of mine. Awesome band. That's like one of my favorite records. Check that out. The new Death Ray Vision album is
Yeah, it came out
fantastic.
last year, wasn't it last year?
Yeah,
Well,
it was so good. It
I
is.
believe it was late last year or something like that. I remember checking it out.
I love that record. Keith is a phenomenal frontman, and that band is just a juggernaut. So super stoked to have Beyond the Embrace and Death Ray Vision on there. We also have our good friends Extinction AD. Love that band. They just put out a new record, so I'm pumped on that. And a bunch of our friends. We've got On Your Deathbed, Nine Realms out of Virginia, a band I helped produce. We got them coming up from Virginia. I'm really excited about them. Cooked Alive. We've got another awesome band called Envoys. And then we've got Fly Ash, and then Open It Up is a band called Minutes Unsettled. So good dear friends of ours, all playing bands that we wanted other people to hear and check out. And it's a festival for $10, just so people can come out, check out new music, and maybe support some bands while they're out there. Maybe buy a couple shirts if they want to. And
Where's the festival?
it's going to be in New Bedford, Massachusetts at the Vault. And it's on November 30th. It's Saturday. And yeah, Friendsgiving Fest, $10. You can't beat it.
Friendsgiving Fest. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that title. I love that idea.
Thank you.
Are you looking already into 2025 in terms of plans, or you let things happen a little bit more organically?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We've got a couple irons in the fire, a couple of things that we're waiting on for early 2025 or spring 2025. A lot of people will ask us about touring, and it's all if it makes sense and if the timing's right. In a day and age where like it's a little bit more challenging for folks. There's a ton of bands out there touring all the time. So for us, rather than, oversaturating it, we've been there, we've done that. We used to tour constantly. And nowadays it's a bit different, right? People discover bands through social media, through different platforms that they're listening to their music on. And while there are still people that go to shows, less and less people are going to a ton of shows because, they might save up for that one big event or two big events per year. Maybe they're just busier, but that's not to say people aren't going to shows. They are. It's just for us to do a tour, it has to make sense logistically and even financially. Again, we work full-time jobs and we we're touring full time. And so now we're at a point where like we have to be strategic about it as well too.
Yeah, you have to do what makes sense for the band and for the band
Yeah,
members.
absolutely.
You now have the wind is at your sails, so to speak, with the new release and the feedback you guys have received. Are you planning on releasing something a little bit closer, or you're not even thinking about the next release yet? You're just enjoying the moment?
I mean, no, we're always jamming, and
Because you're not
so
going to make people wait 15 years, are you?
we'll see. I don't know. I mean, it comes out when it comes out, but we're already jamming. We started, kind of toying around with some ideas and writing some things. So we've already started the process, but I mean, I don't have any like time frame in mind. There was a model 10 to 15 years ago for a lot of bands where it was like every 18 months because it made sense. They'd put out a record, they'd tour on it, cycle, write, record, put out another record 18 months later, tour, and so on and so forth. And while some bands can do that, and I think that's great, I don't know that that's necessarily, unless not everybody's firing on all pistons. So, like, what are the odds that you're going to be putting out some subpar material? And for us, I don't necessarily want to just put material out to put it out. I want to make sure it's something we stand behind and that we feel really, really good about before we put it out. Because at the end of the day, we're making music for ourselves that we'd want to listen to. And everybody else, if they enjoy it, that is bonus for us. We don't necessarily write with a listener in mind for like, oh, let's write this style or this thing that we think that's worked before and it's formulaic and people are going to love. It's for us, it's very different. It's just we want to write and express ourselves with using the different forms of music, rock and roll, metal, blues, etc., and jazz, and make something that will be done.
In other words, what Jay is saying is that they don't put out. You have to work for it.
You're not wrong.
You have to really work. You have to bring your A game to the table if you expect these boys to put out. So I think that's the message that we can all take after this conversation.
I love that. Yeah, man.
It's a great takeaway. I mean, if there's anything you're going to take away besides how good this record is, like I said, I was really impressed because I listen to so much music, and not to say that independent releases are not good. That's not what I'm saying here. But a lot of the times they don't have the same Fabergé softness, if you will, of something that's a little bit that comes from a little bit of a higher echelon. But when I press play on the record, I was like, wow, this this is good. This is good. They didn't use their parents' basement to record this stuff on. Like this is good shit. So congratulations, really. The record has a great sound to it.
Thank you so much. That means the world to us, and I know the guys are going to be super excited to hear that too. We worked hard on it. I mean, it's
It
again,
shows. It shows.
thank you. Yeah, Kurt, again, I can't sing his praises enough. We're so grateful for him and everything he's contributed to this band. I mean, even at the darkest point in time where the band was feeling like, what are we doing? He kept it going. He did, and it was so awesome that like it was his belief in like saying, no, this fire's not out yet. It's still going, and here we are, and I'm grateful for it.
Jay, I'm grateful for you taking the time to chat with me today. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you around.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for wanting to talk about the record. It really means a lot. Honored and just humbled to be here.
No problem. My pleasure, man. Take care. All the best.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.